everybody, and welcome back to the stream. It's Tuesday, and you know what that means? It's time for Perpetual Motion, the class where we never stop moving, and it's also the start of week 4 of Rocktober, which is just crazy. Somehow, we've made it all the way through the month of October, and we'll be closing out Rocktober perfectly on Saturday the 31st, which is beautiful, and I wish I could take credit for it, but you know, that's just how the calendar works. But yes, holy crap, final week of October. I know that we all understand that time has no meaning, but it definitely, I'm feeling it even more right now than I usually am. But hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you had a good rest of your weekend. Good start to the week yesterday. I've got 2 of the lights going right now, so if I look a little squinty at points, it's because this is just a lot of light. Just a lot of light right in my face. It's gonna look great over there, but yes, I will still need to get used to the change in lighting. I'm just gonna be, for all of the afternoon classes, just doing softbox lighting going forward, because next week, no, this coming Sunday, I think, is when we shift to daylight savings. You know, and at that point, there will be no sunlight outside for any of these classes, so let's get ourselves used to this, and by us I mean me, because all you see is the beautiful angelic glow. Ooh. I also, this is the thing that I actually do enjoy about getting older, but it's amusing to me. You start getting really excited about things that when you were a kid would have seemed very banal. So I got myself a new desk. As I've been wanting to just create a really small space that can be really focused on doing work, creative work, professional work, anything that I need to get done. And so I brought it home yesterday, got it set up, and it's been absolutely lovely. And I'm very excited about it because I'm definitely one of those people who benefits from having single purpose spaces. You know, like, this is the space where I go when I'm going to do this thing, and this is the chair that I go when I'm going to do some reading, and you know, this is the space that I go when I'm going to play video games, that sort of thing. So I'm very excited. So thank you for going with me on that journey. But I hope that you have something that is exciting you equally as much. I think we all could use that. The other thing that is exciting me is the fact that we got so much snow over the weekend, and you know, obviously I've been talking a lot about the fires in Colorado, and the snow was desperately needed. A lot of snow fell up in Estes Park as well, which means that the town is not in quite as much immediate danger from the East Troublesome fire. The snow has definitely helped to keep the fires that are closer to me in check, which is really good. And it's still really cold outside, and everything's covered in snow, and then of course it'll start melting, which means there will still be liquid around. So very, very good news for poor Colorado. So thank you to everyone who sent snow vibes. Thank you to anyone who was able to donate to any of the organizations I linked to last week. Yeah, we're doing well. We're doing well, I think. Fingers crossed anyway. But you know, it is officially winter here in Colorado, which means that fall and winter are duking it out, and winter is starting to win. Which is fine. I like the colder weather. I like feeling snuggly and getting to watch snow fall all day and just drink a lot of tea, which is not that different from how I spend the rest of my days, but it feels cozier when it's snowing outside, I think. But yeah, so this is week 4 week 4 for October. We have been ramping ourselves up like crazy. Not wall what? Now I'm confused. We've been ramping ourselves up like crazy over the last few weeks with these programs, and this is going to be the pinnacle. So we are going to take this week to really dig in and go all out. This is our week to really show ourselves what we have, what we've done, how we've grown, how we've challenged ourselves over the last 4 weeks. And it's going to be intense, but I think you'll be excited to feel the difference. And oh yeah, no, winter, because winter always wins out. And swinter in the spring, because winter is still winning out until summer arrives. Yeah, but yes. So here's our kickoff to week 4. I'm so excited. For anyone who this is your first class, A, welcome. B, woo, you picked a doozy. C, this is Perpetual Motion, the class where we do not stop moving. And what I mean by that is when we finish a workout timer, instead of getting a nice little break where you get to drink some water and just chill, you will be doing an active rest exercise. We use cross jacks here, and I'll demonstrate that when it becomes relevant. But yes, so this is the half marathon of HIIT classes, as I think I am now locked into calling it. So just be prepared for that. It is intense, and it requires a degree of energy management that you may not have put into this style of class before. So just be aware, be ready, have plenty of water, and have fun, because that's really our goal. So yeah, I think it's time to get going. Ooh, but let's do our pre-class checklist first. So we've got our water vessels. Yes, this is a different mason jar than I usually use because I didn't know where the other one had gone, and I finally found it like 2 minutes ago and was like, I've already filled this one. So whatever vessel you are using to hold water, make sure you've got that. Make sure you've got your comfy clothes on, whatever that means to you. Make sure you have a mat on the ground. I didn't actually adjust the angle. There we go. The one thing I forgot to do, I got so distracted setting up the lights that I forgot to make sure the angle of the camera was okay. You've got your mat or your mat-sized space on the floor, and if you use a fitness wearable, now is the time to turn it on using a high-intensity interval training setting. Whew, my feet are cold. That's how I can tell it's winter. Luckily, we're about to exercise, which means that we will be overheated in just a second. All right, everybody's got your stuff. Yeah. Oh man. All right, time to psych ourselves up because this is going to be intense. You know how we've been ramping up over the last few weeks. Anyone who's been in class the whole time can most likely guess what it's going to look like today. So prepare, pat yourself on the back, psych yourself up, and let's go do our warm-up. All right, hey. So everybody on your mats, on your backs, 1 foot crossed over the opposite knee. And as soon as you hear that timer, we will start in with our hip rocks and bridges. Woo, that's nice and loud. You won't be able to miss that, which is, you know, a good thing because that's the important sound. Remember, and it's particularly important today, that we are warming up. We are not jumping immediately into the thick of things. We're not trying to use all of our energy right now. We are booting up systems. So booting up all the systems in our brains, in our bodies, in our muscle fibers that will be used for this class and letting them know, hey, here we are, we're working out, and it's time to turn on all of that stuff so that we can make it through an hour-long class. So no need to be over here trying to rock your hips up as high as they can possibly go. You know, you can always look up here and see what I'm doing. I'm obviously not rocking my hips particularly high up into the air. You know, if I was going for as high as I could go, I could, you know, get myself all the way up there if I wanted to, but that would be me expending a ton of energy that I would then not have for the rest of class. So make sure that you are using this as an opportunity to just slowly wake up. You know, essentially the warm-up should be, you know, your lead in from like getting up out of bed in the morning, putting a kettle on and making yourself that first mug of coffee or tea. You know, we're not trying to rush ourselves. We're just trying to move slowly and deliberately until we get to the end and we go, all right, there is that energy. Now I can start using it for my day. In this instance, our day is the rest of our class. So here we are doing our leg sequence, starting with our best Jane Fonda impression. So making sure that you are lying in a nice straight line on the floor, okay? If you have trouble determining whether your body is in a straight line, you can always use the long edge of your mat. Make sure your core is engaged so your hips aren't trying to rock forwards and backwards. And make sure you're engaging the glute on the working leg. That's going to help pull the leg into alignment with the rest of the body as it lifts. All right, now we're putting that top foot flat on the floor in front of that bottom knee, and we are lifting this bottom leg like this, okay? So making sure that your knee, you want the aspirational position is foot flat on the floor, knee pointing straight up towards the ceiling. It's going to depend on where your hip flexibility is, and barring flexibility, where your hip strength is. So this is my more flexible hip, so I can just sort of set myself up in this position and know that my leg's going to take care of staying there without me having to really get involved in the process, because I have enough flexibility on this side. When we get to the other side, you'll see that I have to engage a little more musculature in my hip socket to maintain that position. All right, now we're putting that foot behind the bottom knee, still lifting this bottom leg. This is our last exercise on this side before we roll over and repeat everything on the other side. So just to be aware, this is our most relaxed position because we've got this foot flat on the floor back there, so it's helping to maintain the balance. We don't have to have the core quite as actively engaged. The knee is not struggling to stay in this position. There's no requests for additional flexibility from that hip, so we can really just lie here as if we're chilling on a beach for a photo shoot and just lift that bottom leg, which will in a second become top leg as we switch over to the other side. So be prepared for that, because this is the second time in a row we've used this leg, and now we're going into the third time. So it may be feeling a little bit fatigued. So just be aware that is totally normal because we've used it 3 times in a row. Soon it will get its well-deserved rest. But here we are on the other side. So just really trying to keep our body in a nice straight line. So it becomes one of those things that as you become more spatially aware of where your limbs are at any given moment when you're in different positions. You will be able to get yourself into this nice straight line without having to really put too much thought into it. If you're not there yet, if you still struggle to sort of instinctively or intuitively understand where you're supposed to be when you're in a position like that, never hesitate to use whatever external tools are available. So straight line, find whatever straight line there is and utilize it, okay? And then just pay attention to how you feel in that position. And that's how you start to cement that knowledge into your brain. So now we're here on the other side. And again, as I said, this is my less flexible hip. So I have to engage the musculature a little bit more in order to keep this knee from sagging forward like that. It is not quite as terrible if I'm not able to fully achieve this here, because we're not putting any pressure on this leg. So if the knee sags forward a little bit, it's not as dangerous, as likely to set us up for an injury. However, that also means that this is a perfect low stakes opportunity to figure out what you need to engage to really keep that knee safely pointing up. All right, now we're in our final exercise. So again, our nice comfortable beach position and lifting that bottom leg still. So as soon as this is done, as soon as the horn goes off again, we'll be moving into our back and hips section. So a lot of active stretching in this next section, really starting to wake up those major areas, particularly, you know, when we have a long day of sitting at a desk all day and not really moving a ton, or a long day of standing behind a counter all day and also not really moving a ton. This next session is really important for just starting to stretch out our back, loosen up our hips, and give them a little bit of flexibility. All right, so, speaking of hips, I cracked a hip just then. That was lovely. So we're on our stomachs and we're swinging one leg at a time, back behind ourselves, trying to get that foot flat on the floor and trying to get that knee pointing up towards the ceiling. However, you also need to make sure that your elbows, your forearms, are planted firmly on the ground and that they are not going anywhere, okay? So maybe you swing a leg and you're like, oh, awesome, I got the leg flat on the floor and the knee pointing up towards the ceiling, and all I had to do was lift my elbow a little bit. If you had to lift your elbow a little bit, you cannot yet go that far, okay? So always keep that in mind. It provides a nice yardstick for your current level of flexibility. All right. Holding our imaginary PVC pipes, doing our nice big torso rotations. First one direction and then the other direction. I'll generally do 2 rotations before I switch directions, because we're not going to be doing this, you know, on the other side when the horn goes again. So you want to make sure that you're evening yourself out and not just swinging in one direction for the circle and then never going in the other direction. So make sure that you are alternating. Make sure that you are initiating the circle from your hips, okay? Not moving the arms and then trying to follow after them, not diving down with the head, but from the hips. All right, still holding that imaginary pipe. We're now doing our squats, which are a very important exercise for a lot of this body weight stuff. So our first opportunity here to check in, see how our form is, make sure that your knees are going straight over your feet and that they're not trying to cave in towards each other at any point during this exercise. So if you can't come down here without your knees trying to cave in towards each other. Then narrow your stance a little bit. Start again. Okay, cool. I can do that with my feet a little closer together without the knees caving. Get strong there, you know, so you may have to do that for a few classes, and then test it out again and see if you're able to take that wider stance. All right, tossing down our imaginary pipes and going into our Samson stretches. Here is a big hip stretch. Active stretch because we're not just staying in this position. We are moving back and forth, but we want to sink into that stretch, really stretching along the front of that hip flexor, arms going straight up towards the ceiling, making sure that your hips are pointing forwards the whole time, so you're not opening your hips up like a warrior two if you take yoga, and making sure that you can feel that stretch before you stand back up and reach the other leg behind you. A straight leg behind you. We're not going for a double bent leg lunge here, okay? So it should be a straight leg. Now, we come down to our wide squat position. Again, knees straight over the feet, not caving in towards each other. Having your hands on your knees is going to help that. Again, our warm-up provides us an opportunity to feel how this should feel, but to assist ourselves a little bit in it. There are plenty of other times when we'll be doing these wide squats when you will not have your hands to lever the knees out, and you will actually need to be engaging the muscles so that you can maintain that position, okay? So really enjoy the extra help and pay attention to what muscles you would need to be engaging in order to maintain this position without having your hands on your knees. All right, we have reached cardio, my friends. Here we are going into the final 3 exercises of the warm-up, starting here with our jumping jacks. Super simple. We're not doing full jumping jacks again. We're not ramping up to full energy yet, even though we're doing cardio. This is our opportunity to just hit those last few buttons, hit those last few keys. So we're getting our cardiovascular system tuned in right now. So your heart rate will start coming a little faster. Your breath will start coming a little faster. Your body goes, okay, I need to make sure I can move oxygen more quickly through the body and to all of the muscles so that they can break down their fuel sources and use them for fuel, for energy. All right, and now for our kick throughs. Again, remember, if this is still a new exercise for you, or a relatively new exercise for you, go slowly, okay? You do not have to be jumping back and forth really quickly. It's complicated. It's got a lot of different components. So make sure leg is at a 90-degree angle, knee pointing straight up at the ceiling, shoulder as close to over the wrist as possible, and then going to the other side and doing the same thing in terms of form, okay? Oh man, we are doing so great, my friends. Okay, last but not least, here we are with our burpees. Making sure that you're doing a weighted push-up, not a plank. So you jump back to a plank, but then you do a weighted push-up and then a nice victory clap above your head as you jump at the top of the position. Now, this is our last warm-up exercise. So when the horn goes off again, we will go immediately into our cross jacks. So don't leave your mat, don't go anywhere, don't stop moving, but go immediately into cross jacks as soon as you hear that ending horn. Okay? So, ready? All right, here we are. So cross jacks, super simple. Jump out, jump in, and cross the feet, out, in, cross the feet with the other foot in front. And the arms are doing the same thing. For modifications, if it's more comfortable, you can do the arms and just kick the feet forward, or you can jump back and forth like this. All that's fine. Just make sure you do not stop moving. All right. Oh, good job, everybody. Boy, howdy. Also, make sure that you don't forget to drink water, okay? Even though you have to keep moving all class, you still need water. So it's just as if we were doing a half marathon and you'd have to keep running the whole time. You don't want to be stopping every time you need to drink, but you also still need to hydrate yourself, okay? So same thing for this class. So I should have said this at the beginning, but make sure your water bottle is somewhere within arm's reach of a standing position, since our active rest is always going to be cross jacks, okay? Oh, much better. Much, much better. Okay, my friends. Good warm-up, good warm-up. I'm feeling, yeah, I'm feeling pumped. I'm feeling ready for our final week of good old Rocktober. So today is going to be all 1 minute work intervals for our perpetual motion sets. All right. This does mean that I'm going to have to cut one of the rounds out. Otherwise, class would be like an hour and a half long, and that's not what any of us signed up for. So you won't know which one, but you'll find out. So, but yes, everything will be 1 minute work intervals. Since we've been doing this program since the beginning of October, I'm not going to be doing a ton of demonstrating, but I'll be, doing the exercises up here like usual. So let's get started with our first 3, which are going to be our wide squat with the knee turn. So wide squat and turn the knee in and out, okay? And then our tick-tocks, so out and up, out and up, out and up, and our push-ups from whichever position you want, as long as shoulders are directly over the wrists and you've got that nice plank. All righty, everybody cross-jack your way over to the mat as I get the timer ready, and as soon as you hear that horn, you will jump right down into that wide squat, and we will start doing the exercise, okay? So remember in the warm-up when I was talking about how we would need to be able to engage the muscles to hold ourselves in that wide squat position without having our hands on our knees? Well, here we are having to do that. So one of the things you can focus in on is how far your feet are turned out. Mine are turned out really far because dance training. If you don't have that and you're struggling and your knees are trying to cave in, you can turn your feet out a little bit less and see if that makes it easier, okay? So that is the best modification for you to do there, and just keep it in mind keep checking in on your knees and making sure that, that the form is correct, because our form is always the cornerstone of everything that we're doing here. All right? If we are focused on nothing else, we are focused on form. And at this point, in week 4, we should be feeling really confident on our form for all of these exercises, because we've been doing them for a good long while, right? We have not had to change anything up, change which exercises go with one another. So you should be really familiar with what the form requirements are. And if you're struggling with anything, then you should also be really familiar with either the modifications that you need to make, or comfortable enough reading the signals of your body to go, okay, I know that this is perpetual motion, but I need to take a break, okay? And I don't prefer that unless you have no other choice. And we've talked about how we're really focusing this month on challenging ourselves, but we've also talked every class about the importance of form and about how I would rather you do 2 perfect reps of something than 20 reps with bad form, because if you're doing the latter, then you're training your body incorrectly and you're potentially setting yourself up for an injury. So remember that it's Rocktober, that we're really here to push ourselves and to challenge ourselves, but also remember that I want you to be listening to the signals that your body is sending you. And if you truly, truly do not have another choice, then you know what you need to do, all right? But I'm betting this far into the month that you are starting to really notice the improvements, starting to notice that while it still is hard, definitely, you are starting to notice, I'm betting, that it is not as hard as you might have convinced yourself it would be, that you are feeling stronger at it than you expected, that your stamina feels greater than you expected, okay? And that's really what we're going for here. I want you to really be able to feel by the end of this month how far you've come, okay? And so next week, what I'm probably going to do is we're going to run these programs one more time in their original form. So in the form that we used all the way back in week 1 of this month. We will run the programs again, and you'll get to see how much easier it feels, how much stronger you feel, how much more power you can put in to those shorter work intervals now that you've built up that strength and that stamina over the course of this month, okay? So I really want you to dig into that and to really feel and acknowledge that for yourself, all right? We're bad at being our own cheerleaders. And so a lot of times we just don't notice our own improvements. And that can, if we're not paying attention to our improvements, even if they feel small, then we can demoralize ourselves. We can feel like we're not doing a good job, and that can lead us to be like, well, what's the point of doing this if I'm not, improving? The thing is, you are improving. Every time you take this class, you are improving. Whether you can feel it consciously or not, you are absolutely getting stronger, getting more stamina. Your body is getting healthier. It's making all of these great adaptations, you know, in the types of muscle fibers that you have, in your hormone composition, just so many awesome and powerful and helpful adaptations. And we can't always feel them, but they are always happening. And so I want you to get really adept at paying attention to the moments when you do feel those improvements. When you go, oh, that is something I can notice consciously, and I can go, wow, I've really done a great job at this exercise or this sequence that I was feeling a little bit wobbly on before. Okay, so every time you notice something, I want you to stop, and I want you to pat yourself on the back and go, wow, good job, me. I am really proud of you for all of this improvement, okay? Because we, you know, we shouldn't be our only cheerleaders. Hopefully you have a community of people who are able to be those external cheerleaders for you. But learning how to be our own cheerleaders is a really, really good skill, because sometimes people aren't around, or we're working on something that feels really private, that we're not comfortable talking to others about yet. And so the more that we are able to stop and pay attention and go, wow, I am really proud of myself for this improvement that I've made, the better we will be able to continue inspiring ourselves and, you know, pushing ourselves to succeed at whatever goals we're trying to achieve. So, especially this week, I really want you to settle in, and at the end of each of these timers, to just go, wow, good job, me. This was really intense and really difficult, and I made it. All right, everybody up, doing those cross jacks. Yeah, cross-jacking away. Oh man, push-ups are definitely a thing that I still really have to concentrate on. They are super intense, and it's an area where I definitely can cheerlead myself and pat myself on the back for the improvements I've made, especially over the last 7 months. But it's also a place where I really have to focus in that energy, make sure I'm hanging on to the form, you know? So if you have those places where you're like, oh God, I really have to focus on this thing because otherwise it just falls apart, don't worry. That's totally normal. We all have those things. Yes, even the professionals. And it is not a bad thing, honestly. It's an opportunity for us to go, cool, here's something I can work on. You know, here's something that will make me feel really proud and excited when I improve on it, all right? Water, oh yeah. Okay, so our next set is going to be, the first 2 exercises are the same exercise, just on each side. So it's going to be Oh, these poor puzzle pieces. It's going to be a side plank from the elbows. So elbow, shoulder over elbow, hips not sagging back down towards the ground, other arm pointing straight up at the ceiling. Then we do the other side. And then the third exercise are our turtle jumps, okay? Turtle jumps? Yes, turtle jumps. So roll up on the feet, jump, roll up on the feet, and jump, okay? All right, everybody cross jack back onto your mats. Remember, you don't get to get down into that plank position until you hear the horn, okay? So when we're talking about starting on time for our perpetual motion sets, that's part of what we mean, is making sure that we're not trying to stop our active rest before it's time to move, and then making sure that we are minimizing the amount of time it takes us to get from one position to the next. So a minute is a long time to hold this position. So envision a string attached to your hip going up towards the ceiling, okay? And that will help to keep your hips from starting to sink back towards the floor. You can do the same with the arm that's reaching up. Make sure the shoulder is directly over that elbow. You want that nice perpendicular line. And then we switch to the other side. Remember that I am deliberately taking a little extra time to get into the other position because I want to still be facing the camera. So you don't have to do that. You can just drop down and roll onto your other side and get into the position, okay? So whenever you see me doing something that is not as efficient as it could be, you can assume that it's because I'm streaming and I want to make sure that I'm facing the camera the whole time, all right? So check in on your breath. Are you still breathing? Yes, it is necessary to breathe while you're in a held position. You are actively engaging a lot of muscles and they still need that oxygen. All right, and here we are for our turtles. So remember that getting that momentum going so you can roll up onto the feet is really, really helpful for this exercise. You can push yourself up with a hand if you need to. That's absolutely fine. But it slows you down, it makes you a little ungainly, and it can have impacts on the form. So really try to really use that momentum and swing yourself through the air up onto the feet like that. And if you can do that, I bet that you will find it a lot easier. Leave. Oh, all right. Second time through. So back to our side planks. And again, remember that you are not holding your breath. You are breathing the whole time. It provides you an opportunity to really try and bring your breath under control a bit, okay? Slow it down a little, which slows your heart rate down a little, but you don't want to hold your breath because your muscles need oxygen the whole time. They need the oxygen that your breathing is providing. And if you stop breathing because you think, well, I don't want to knock myself out of this position that I'm really trying to hold, then all you're going to do is make your muscles have to struggle that much harder because they are not getting the oxygen they need to run their energy production systems, okay? So every time, I want you to check in, you know, every 10 or 15 seconds or so, and go, am I still breathing? Not necessarily. So let me take a second and make sure that I'm breathing again, okay? It will also really help you, to reduce the intensity of the sensation you feel. That's the thing about held positions, isometric positions, is we start to feel so much intensity in the muscles that are working, and it can be harder to distract ourselves from that sensation because we're not moving around and flinging ourselves through the air. So breathing and visualizing your breath going to those places where you're feeling that intensity of sensation can really help to bring everything under control so that you're not feeling quite as easily overwhelmed by the sensation, okay? And now you're doing your second round of turtle jumps. A fun time. Really remember to enjoy the sensation of just moving your body for the sheer pleasure of it, okay? Y'all know how much I love these turtle exercises, and part of it is just because I have so many fond memories of, you know, being a kid and rolling around on somebody's lawn or teaching myself how to do one-handed cartwheels and stuff like that. And so I really want us to capture those feelings where we can, because when we can feel that joy and that unfettered pleasure in just movement, it just helps us to enjoy exercise that much more, okay? And the more we actually enjoy what we're doing, the easier it'll be for us to stick with it, right? All right, so we're here, our final round here with our first side plank. Try and make sure that your shoulder is not starting to sink down either, okay? So if you feel yourself starting to sink into that socket, try and re-engage the shoulder, push up towards the ceiling again, okay? You really want to make sure that your shoulder is engaged and it is strong and it is keeping you up and stable and in place. Our shoulders are super flexible. They're designed to be, they're ball and socket joints. But it is also important for them to have strength and have stability. And this is a great way for them to start that process. So check in with that shoulder. Where is it with regards to the elbow? Is it pushing up? Is it strong and stable? Check in on those hips. Are they still up, or are they starting to sink down towards the ground? Just notice all of these moments and just check in. Just keep checking in with yourself on your form, all right? And the more that you do that, you know, it can feel really frustrating initially, because as we're initially learning exercises, you know, it's easier for us to lose track of form notes, and then we end up, you know, every time we check in going, oh man, there's something that I have to fix. That's really frustrating. But the more that we do these exercises, the longer we do them, the fewer times that you will check in on your form and notice that there are issues. So don't let yourself become too frustrated or demoralized, because you can absolutely notice improvements right there, just in going, okay, I'm not falling out of my form nearly as much. All right, everybody is cross-jacking. We're doing one of the appropriate modifications. Big breaths, lots of water, let's rest. Okay. Woo. Yeah. Feeling good. Feeling good. Feeling strong. 1 minute's no joke, okay? 1 minute is no joke, but I'm willing to bet that even in comparison to last week, it feels hard, absolutely, but I'm willing to bet that you're starting to feel some of those improvements, some of those stamina improvements that you've been building out over the last month. All right? Oh. Okay. Nice big breaths as you're cross-jacking. Make sure you're drinking water. Try not to spill it all over yourself, okay? And our next sequence of 3. First, we have our ankle reaches. So flat on the ground, engaging the core so it lifts the shoulders up, back and forth from side to side. Second exercise is the turtle wave. So up on the feet, back into that plank, and a wave push up, and again, okay? And then third exercise is squat with a knee raise. So up to that standing position, feet around shoulder width apart. Squat down, stand up, let the knee come up, down, and other side, okay? Those are our 3. How are my puzzle pieces? Barely holding it together. All right, so everybody's cross-jacking away. Do. As soon as you hear that horn, it's time to start ankle reaches. So I really do want you to focus on keeping the legs straight up in the air, okay? I know how intense that is, how hard that can be, depending on the flexibility you have in your hamstrings, okay? And if you absolutely do need to introduce a little bit of a bend, just make sure that you bend the knees towards your body rather than bending the feet farther away from you. But I really do want you to focus in as much as you can on keeping the legs nice and straight, pointing up in the air as you reach from side to side. Hoo, hiya. So that transition should be a fairly easy one. I made it a little more difficult there than it needed to be, but since we're already in that position, we just hike our hips up a bit and then start the rolling. When you do this push-up, make sure your elbows are staying right in by your sides, okay? So not letting them fan out at all. You want them to stay right there by your sides the whole time, okay? And that goes for any push-ups that I do. I haven't necessarily said that out loud today, but that is for every push-up that we do in these classes. All right, and now as we do these squats, checking in again. Where are my knees? Are they staying straight over my feet? If they aren't, narrow your stance a little bit. And as you stand, make sure you're engaging your core to stabilize that balance, okay? We don't want to be falling over while we're doing this exercise. So slow and steady, down and up, and core helps to keep everything in line as you stand so that you're not in danger of falling over somewhere, okay? Whew. Yeah. All right. Heading back down to round 2 of ankle reaches. Oh, these poor puzzle pieces. They're just really struggling. Oh man. I think I may start up a goal on my coffee account for some of the equipment needs that I have, because I really do need to replace these puzzle pieces with a mat of similar thickness, but that I don't have to worry about it pulling apart at every point. But that's for down the road. I'm not going to worry about that right now. For now, you're doing your ankle reaches, and soon you will start those turtle waves. So for wave push-ups, we want to jump into that plank position, okay? We're not trying to bypass the plank. We're just not staying there particularly long, okay? So when you jump back, when you plant your hands and jump back into that plank, check in really quickly and see how the plank looks, okay? Make sure that you feel comfortable with it. Your trunk is nice and long and stable. Your shoulders directly over the wrists, creating that nice perpendicular angle between your arm and the floor, all right? Check in with that. That's one of the components of the form that we do want to take a look at, okay? Oh man, these lights, thankfully, are not super hot, which is a relief, because for anyone who's ever done film work, you know that professional lights can be interminably hot. So it is definitely very nice to have lights that don't feel like they are creating a sauna-like environment in the apartment. It's also very nice now that it is winter and, you know, 36 degrees and lower, that it's actually quite comfy in here, you know, without having to worry that I don't have AC running. It is quite comfortable in here, and I'm very relieved about that, because those few changeover weeks where there was no AC, but it was still extremely warm outside, were not pleasant. And I know that you will be excited about me no longer complaining about that, and I will be excited about no longer needing to complain about that. So that's one of those things where I have a dream of like a basement studio for these classes, because basements, no matter the season, always retain a fair degree of coolness, and that will definitely make class a much more comfortable experience regardless of what time of year it is. So someday I will have a basement studio. I foresee it. I foresee it. But for now, I will enjoy the winter changeover right here in my current place, and enjoy that I no longer have to worry about seeing fire on the mountains nearby where I live, and enjoy that I am a little less concerned about fire burning down Estes Park, which is a town that I have a lot of fond memories in. You know, it's a weird tourist trap of a town, but it also is a very beautiful place. And I lived there for a couple of months when I first moved out here. And, you know, woo, oh gosh. Remember that spatial awareness thing I talked about? Yeah, I lost track of it there for a second, so make sure you're not losing track of your spatial awareness. Good grief. All right, here we are with our last round of squats to knee raise. So as soon as the horn goes off, we will go back into our cross jacks, and then we will be very excited because there will only be one more sequence, and then calf awareness. Yay! So get prepped. We are still going to be perpetually moving for a little bit longer yet, but we are coming in towards the home stretch. All right. Here we go. So back to those cross jacks. And grabbing some water. Oh yeah. Much better. Much, much better. All right, my loves. So, one more set. And it's the same set that we've been ending class with all month, okay? So, toe squats, then skips, then burpees. All right, I know that you all know what's expected there. And we'll talk about form as we get going, but I know that, look, you're all experts at all of these exercises. You know, we've been really digging into them over the last 4 weeks. So just remember that, you know, even if you're feeling fatigued today, even if you're feeling a little more worn out than usual, just remember, you know these exercises. You know what you're doing. You know what the form is like. You know what you need, and you are absolutely going to crush it, okay? And then when we get to the end of that set, we'll go back into the cross jacks really quickly while I prep the timer for calf awareness. And then once calf awareness is done, we'll be able to relax. All right. Everybody, cross jack, back to your mat. Toe squats, skips, and burpees. So getting ready to go into the toe squats as soon as we hear that horn, all right? So if this is your first class, just quick form notes. We're taking our feet about hip width apart, and we are squatting all the way down to the ground. Woo! I lost my balance there. You could tell that I was not paying attention to my stabilizing muscle group. So let's start that again. Engage the core to really maintain control over the weight of the torso. And then I'm going to squat all the way down, letting my heels come off the ground. So I'm all the way down here, and then stand all the way back up, okay? So if this is your first time doing them, they're awesome. Don't feel the need to go super quickly right off the bat, and just really check in on your form. We're not trying to flat back forward, okay? But now, here we are, skipping merrily along. This is our our chillest cardio exercise, honestly, which is one of the reasons that it ended up in perpetual motion. You know, I would never give us like flaming scarlets or something like that, because that would just be really intense. But skips, we're just doing small hops in place while lifting the opposite knee, and we're not trying to move around on our mats at all. We're just chilling right here, going back and forth from leg to leg until horn goes and we're back to our burpees. So the nice thing about burpees is that we've already done them, and we've already done them for a minute, because when we do them in the warm-up, they last for a full minute. So you already know that you have absolutely got this down. It's harder right now because we're at the end of class and you're definitely feeling more fatigued than you would have at the beginning, but you know that you've got this. You know that you can do it, and you've got those awesome victory claps at the top to remind you to cheer yourself on the whole time. All right, second time through. So back to those squats, and you're really wanting, sorry guys, just trying to put the damn mat back together. You're really wanting to focus in on strength and stability for our toe squats, okay? You're not needing to go for speed. If you want to add more reps in, then go for it. Awesome. But you can also just really focus in on the strength of the movement, on the power of the movement as you go up and down and up and down, etc. Oh man, I keep trying to crack my shoulder. It's definitely feeling a little achy right now. Oh well. All right, everybody skipping again. going through a beautiful hillside meadow. God, that's one of the things that is really kind of scary to me, is thinking about how the mountains near here are going to look when we're able to drive down 36 again. Because right now, that whole stretch of 36 between Boulder and Lyons is closed off because of the fire containment. Actually, part of the fire even jumped 36. It didn't get far, thankfully, but you know, so there's no driving along that stretch of road right now. So I haven't really been able to get particularly close to it to see what it looks like. And right now everything is covered in snow, which is awesome. But I mean, those flames that I could see from my house, and if the fire jumped 36, that means that the entire hillside got burned, which is just crazy to think about. And you know, all we can really focus on and hope for is that when spring comes around again, there will be plenty of replenishing of the soil of that area and plenty of new green things growing there. And I do know that fire is actually an important tool of our ecosystems. It's just really fascinating and not a bit disconcerting to be this close to it. So a learning experience. This whole year has been various learning experiences. All right, my friends, here we are going into our final run through these exercises. So with our toe squats, remember, you are controlling the movement all the way down and all the way up, okay? So do not let gravity pull you down towards the floor. If you feel yourself bouncing at the bottom, then you are letting go of your control, and bouncing around down there is really bad for your knees, okay? So you want to be in control of the movement the whole time, okay? Don't get down there and bounce around and be like, okay, I've rested, now I'll push myself back up. You are in control the whole time, all right? All right, here we are, our last set of skips. If you do live above the first floor of whatever dwelling you're in, I do recommend something thick and padded so that you're not totally pissing off your downstairs neighbors. That is definitely where the puzzle pieces come in handy. But yes, just try to be aware and kind to the people around you. You know, we're all staying home a lot more than we're used to, and it's important for us all to feel safe and to feel cared for while we're in these super, quite honestly, very precedented times. People love to say that we're living through unprecedented times, but honestly, everything that is happening has absolutely happened before and could have been predicted, and in many places was predicted. So I don't find it to be an accurate description of what's going on. But here we are in our final run. Remember, when the horn goes, we're jumping back into our active rest while I get calf awareness set up, and we'll finish out with our cool down with calf awareness. So just jumping, cross-jacking, back and forth. Don't stop moving. We're super close, okay? As soon as you hear the horn, we will be doing calf awareness, and we'll start by just balancing flat on one foot. So let's focus in on really bringing our breathing down and bringing our heart rate down. So, you know, our hearts are probably going a little crazy. Our breath is probably coming really fast. So really try and take nice, deep, controlled breaths, and that will help calm your heart down, because it will realize that we're not quite as worried about where our next breath of oxygen is coming from, so it can calm down and take a little bit more time to really push all of that oxygen through the body, okay? So nice, deep breaths, and switch to your other foot. Remember that all of the micro movements to maintain this balance should be happening in the ankle and the foot, okay? So no wobbling around, no letting this lifted leg go all over the place. So what can help this is engaging all these stabilizing muscle groups. So starting with our core, so that we have our torso under control. Our glutes on the standing leg help to flatten out the hinge of our hips. And then the quads on the standing leg means that everything
from the knee up is basically one sheet. And so once we get down to the ankle, it's not trying to balance the needs of a bunch of disparate pieces. It's working with a unified whole. All right, back to our first side, and now we're balancing up on the ball of the foot. So we still would like to be managing all of the micro movements with only the ankle and foot. However, recognizing that this is a much more intense position to maintain balance in, be kind to yourself if that's not possible. When you feel like you are about to fall out of the position, try your very best to control bringing the heel down, okay? So rather than and falling, I want you to go, ooh, I'm losing my balance. Let's bring that heel down, reset, come back up, okay? All right, other side, same thing. You will find that one side is stronger at balancing than the other. Again, that is perfectly natural because we are not, in fact, particularly symmetrical creatures, even though we like to believe that we are, okay? We have sides that are stronger and sides that are weaker. We have sides that are good at balancing, and we have sides that are that struggle with it more. We have sides that are really flexible and sides that are not. And quite frankly, even for the side that is better at balancing, some days it's just not feeling it, okay? Some days you're just feeling off. All right, back to that first side. We're gonna go up on the ball, then back on the heel. I'm trying to get this out of the way. So still balancing, up on the ball, back on the heel. Up on the ball, back on the heel. And we're just gonna go back and forth between those two positions, okay? And you don't have to keep straight up and down when you bring the toes up, when you come up on the heel. You can let the butt come behind you a little bit. Otherwise, you'd be putting even more pressure on the shins than you already are. So up on the ball, back on the heel, up on the ball, back on the heel. Try and control every part of this so you're not moving around too much, okay? Breathing. And now over to the other side. Up on the ball and back on the heel. Up on the ball, back on the heel. Engaging your core is still a really good thing to do, okay? It's still going to help keep too many of your limbs from moving in directions that you don't expect. And especially when we have this movement-based thing, we're no longer just standing still and balancing. We're going back and forth. And so we really want to make sure that we are maintaining as much control as we can so we don't fall over like that, all right? So when the horn goes off, all right, up on both heels. Balance as long as you can. If you need to shuffle around, that's fine. Just don't let your toes come down until that horn goes, all right? So balance as long as you can, then shuffle about, hold it again, really bringing the shins into this party, breathing and focusing, engaging that core, keeping those toes up, okay? We've got about 20 seconds left. So really take some opportunities and go, all right, let's hold this balance. Let's not move these heels. Okay, now I shuffle, but now hold again. Hold, really focus in. Now I shuffle and let those feet down and pat yourself right there on the back. Oh, good job, everybody. All right, celebratory water, I think. Woo! Oh, my friends. Good job, everybody. I am so pleased. To Dan Carlin. Okay. I will check that out. Good job, everybody. Oh my God. Guess what? You have made it through all 4 weeks of Rocktober for Perpetual Motion. This was it. This was the end. The beginning of the end for this class. And I am so proud of you, and I really hope that you are proud of yourselves. I hope that you can really feel the difference over these 4 weeks, because I know that I can, even just for myself. So I'm so glad that you've been a part of this. Please do make sure to come to class next week. As I said, we're going to go back and redo that week 1 program so that you can really feel the difference. Feel how much easier it is now that you've had these 4 weeks to really ramp up, okay? But yeah, I hope that you are super proud of yourselves, because I absolutely am proud of you. And I'm so excited that we did this. Oh, so much fun. And I'm definitely going to be planning more month-long programming in the future, because this was super fun, and I liked planning it out, and I hope that you enjoyed taking the class. We've got 3 more classes for this week to round out week 4. So tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Mountain Time, all my times are Mountain Time, we have Jump Around, our weekly cardio class. Friday at 6 p.m. we've got Functional Home Fitness, where we do weight training using objects you can find around the house. And then Saturday morning at 9 a.m. we've got the weekend kickoff, which is our weekly strength and stamina focused bodyweight class. It is also Halloween. So if you want to come to class on Saturday morning and dress up, do so. I'm still trying to decide what degree of costuming I will feel comfortable exercising in, but you know, there will be something. There will be some small nod to Halloween. Oh, that didn't help at all. Now there's just sweat all over that lens. Awesome. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All of my handles will be in my end card, but they are all variations on Blanche Case Fitness. My YouTube channel, Blanche Case Fitness, is where the VODs for all of these streams get uploaded. And now that I have the fancy lights, I can start recording some additional supplemental content. So form videos and warm-up sequences and stretching sequences and lots of stuff like that. So definitely head over there and subscribe if that's your jam. If you want to help support me financially in making these streams, I do have a coffee account at Blanche Case Fitness. Donations are always very much appreciated. And if you want to help me keep building out this community, building out this channel, then please do follow the channel. We are so close to hitting the markers that we need to hit for affiliate status. And I'm just super excited at what we've achieved just over these last few months, and I definitely want to keep growing all of this with you. So yeah, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for following all of this through Rocktober, and if you've been taking the other classes as well, be prepared. It's going to be fun stuff. Go have a shower, go have some good dinner, and I will see some of you back here tomorrow. Mwah. Have a great night.